Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. We just hit 33,000 subscribers. I'd like to thank all of you for this. Can we get to 34K by the end of the month? Please like this video down below and subscribe to the channel before we get started. But today we have some big news and big developments. I know we have not talked about Senator Bernie Sanders for a very, very long time. However, Bernie Sanders finally in the news again after he drops out of the presidential race. There has not been any primaries for the past couple of weeks, and I've said that Bernie Sanders should drop out of the presidential race. I've been saying this probably since Super Tuesday, when he basically had no virtual path forward, and after the Tuesday after, where he performed such an abysmal primary performance that I actually predicted correctly in almost every state, and then he went further and further. When he had the March 17th primaries, he failed even worse, and he's just not going to win. He needed like 65 to 70% of the delegates to win, and he's only getting like 30%, so it's just not going to happen at this point. So Bernie Sanders finally realizes this, and he finally realized that it was the right thing to do to just step back and drop out of the presidential race and give Joe Biden the nomination, which is fine and conventional. But then you realize that Bernie Sanders is some sort of self-described revolutionary, when in reality, Bernie Sanders is just the lamest revolutionary ever. This guy is just so lame. He won't run third party. He'll just suck up to the neoliberal corporate establishment. And there's a good chunk of his supporters that don't buy it. And we're going to have to talk about this from now until the election. Which way will they go? Will they go back to supporting Joe Biden just because Bernie said so? Or will they either vote Trump out of spite, vote third party, or stay home? There's a big chunk that will do that. And if we've seen polls out of some places like in Florida, like in Arizona, where you have like 20% of Bernie Sanders supporters saying that they will not vote for Joe Biden, even like 15%, I think, in Florida are voting for Trump, and even more considering it. So that's actually a good thing for Donald Trump. And Bernie Sanders just failed completely, and he's failing to really galvanize the same level of support he had last time around. And we talk about this, and we talk about how far left that Bernie's gone on these issues. Back in 2016, he was out there. He was out there economically, socially. He was arguably in line with Hillary Clinton or to the right of Hillary Clinton. And now all of the Democrats are running to the left of that. They now don't want to enforce border security at all. They want to decriminalize illegal border crossings. They want to give illegal aliens free college tuition. This is not what Bernie Sanders was in support of back in 2016. Bernie Sanders said open borders was bad. Open borders is a Koch brothers policy. He said it was right-wing in his view, and he basically said that he was not in support of it. Now he basically comes out in support of open borders. What changed? If we want to talk about true left-wing revolutionaries, not necessarily left-wing revolutionaries, but American liberal revolutionaries, people like Cesar Chavez, who fought for workers' rights, people like Cesar Chavez and the Cesar Chavez group, even some of MLK's leading advisors back in the day, they hated immigration, not just illegal immigration. They hated immigration because they hated the fact that it brought down the wages of workers. And Cesar Chavez and his crew would go down to the southern border, and they would pelt these illegal aliens crossing the border with eggs and other things. So honestly, you talk about what the revolutionaries did back then versus what they do now, it's a whole entire different ballgame. Now the revolutionaries just sit around, they play Nintendo Switch, they drink their soy lattes, they whine about not having free healthcare when they're too lazy to get off their ass and get a job because they picked a terribly wrong college major. It's absolutely just downright hilarious. And you're seeing the left-wing turn that the Democrat Party is taking. Basically, they were supporting policies back then that were mainstream. You know, I guess you could say 10 to 15 years ago, they wanted border security. Even Bernie Sanders talked about why limiting immigration was a good thing. Back in the day, Bernie Sanders advocated for border security. Now he's not advocating for that. Yes, Bernie Sanders was far left on economics beforehand, and he's always been, but his social policies weren't all necessarily all that far left. And you look at this, and I've been saying this from the beginning, if Bernie Sanders was a social conservative, he would actually be a formidable candidate because he could galvanize the far left, and he could pick off some people on the right, especially a lot of Trump's base that want a populist, that want an America first conservative. However, when Bernie Sanders is out there putting America last, advocating for open borders, this, that, and the other thing, it's not going to add up well. So it's not even the far left economic policies that doomed Bernie Sanders. It's also the far left social policies, and many of which are being adopted by the Joe Biden campaign, which is why I don't physically believe that Joe Biden can win, especially that he's adopting these policies. That's not going to help him either, because Biden has said said so many things that are contradictory to what he said now that he's just going to look like a flip-flopper. Look at Romney back in 2012. Look at Kerry back in 2004. These so-called safe candidates that were running against incumbent presidents, and they failed miserably. I could see Biden going out there and failing miserably once again. So there's basically that standpoint. And you talk about what legacy this leads. Will Bernie Sanders run again for president in 2024? The guy was said to be too old the first time he ran, then he runs again. If he's alive, I wouldn't bet against him running again because he is so stubborn. However, he's not stubborn enough to say F you to the neoliberal corporate establishment. However, he's stubborn enough to keep running his jokes of a campaign, and he's getting less supporters and less supporters every time he runs. So he very well could run again in 2024. I wouldn't fully discount that. And I did talk about this on Twitter the other day. I talked about the future of the parties and what's going to happen. So if you guys want to follow me on Twitter for future analysis, follow me on Twitter at RedEaglePatriot. I said here, predictions for the 2020s. I think that the Democrats are going to purge the AOC-style candidates from their ranks by redistricting. I think they will become the neoliberal establishment party, and I think that they will continue and try their suburban strategy and their southern strategy, do better in the suburbs, particularly in the South, in order to galvanize supporters. So I definitely think that that is the direction that the Democrat Party is going to be going in. What about the Republican Party? I think they're going to become more populist economically. They're not going to be far left as Bernie Sanders, but they will adopt certain elements of economic populism, trying to help people. Maybe find other ways of welfare that you can give to people, maybe to increase the birth rates. Look at what Viktor Orban is doing in Hungary. He's a right-wing populist, and he's having some social programs. I think that's the direction the Republican Party is going to go in, and basically you're going to have this divide where you have the neocons. They're going to eventually become Democrats. Some of them already have, people like Bill Kristol, but you have many other people that will eventually become Democrats. And however, at the same time, whatever the Republican Party loses among those establishment, maybe suburbanite, so-called neocons, they're going to be getting more supporters. A lot of the Sanders fans, and I'm not talking about the crazy Antifa people, I'm talking about some of the Sanders supporters who act in good faith. A lot of these people are in places, they might not be a part of Antifa, but they might live in a place like Oregon, Washington, the American Northeast. Definitely, I think there's a lot of room to grow the Republican Party, and I think that they're going to be able to bring a lot of Bernie Sanders fans aboard. And we already brought a bunch of Sanders fans aboard in the Midwest back in 2016. If you look at what Trump did with his trade policies, that brought a lot of people on board. And it arguably helped Trump win the state of Michigan, win the state of Wisconsin, and win the state of Pennsylvania. So there's roughly that. And eventually these people will assimilate to the party and they will convert to social conservatism. Maybe the party will move even to the right of where it is now on traditional social issues. And that could be a very, very good thing. And as for the type of party and the type of people, you're going to see more people grow and rise in the ranks in the party, the so-called America First people like James Tulp, who lost the primary. Maybe he'll be able to win in the future. People like Pete Dubrosca will probably make his way into Congress or Senate, hopefully. And it's going to make the Republican Party stronger as a result. And in fact, it's only going to build a bigger tent than we have now. You can be opposed to both socialism, communism, and whatever corporate style of crony capitalism we have now. Maybe move toward a distributist type of style of free market capitalism that's actually going to be more effective at addressing some of these issues that Bernie's talked about than Bernie's own platform that just takes, and doesn't make anything, because it's not really free market capitalism that he's pushing. However, if you look at some of these other forms of economic systems the Republican Party could adopt, they could actually find a way to address the problems that Bernie Sanders talks about and whines about nonstop without sacrificing their values. And it might even be more in line with their social Christian values at the same time, while actually creating a more free market than what we have now. I'd recommend reading the book Toward a Truly Free Market by John C. Madai. Talks about the distributist perspective, because you talk about distributism, and distributism gets such a bad name because it sounds like you're redistributing wealth. That's not actually what it is at all. I'd actually recommend reading the book. I'll put the link to the book in the description, as it is a very good read and talks about how you can have a better tax system and actually how you can open up the market and make the market freer and not let the market infringe on the people, because that's where this economic anxiety is coming from, and the Republican Party is going to have to address this economic anxiety, or they're basically not going to be viable for very much longer, because you look at the neocons and look what the neocons push, it's not necessarily going to work. And the fact that Donald Trump actually made an outreach and acknowledged some of this worked out for his benefit at the end, and it helped him win places that the Republicans could not have won even back when you had a relatively popular incumbent president in Bush in 2004. So anyways, guys, that's the video. Thanks for watching this video. Please like this video down below, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media, join the Discord, join the subreddit, donate to the Patreon, and subscribe. Star links in description. As always, guys, thanks for watching this video. Red Eagle, out.